Hey, good evening, everyone. This is the author, and you're joining me for a later than planned edition of the Fast 15. Normally, we do this usually about 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'd put notifications that we would go on at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but had a delay, so finally getting here. So I appreciate everybody's patience. Of course, you can stay connected with me here as well as Linktree, linktr.ee /AuthorASnorton. So that way, when you go on there, you can connect with me on the socials, the website, some of the upcoming previous articles, information on the Author A. Snorton blend in collaboration with Fonte's Coffee, the podcast, Lens and Pens in collaboration with Emery Rose Photography, and a few other items. So again, I just want to say thank you to everybody for your patience. I know I wasn't able to come on earlier in the day because there were some moving parts I had to tend to, and I thought I would be able to be done with my evening moving parts about an hour ago, but it just worked out a little bit differently. So again, I thank each and every one of you. So we're going to go ahead and dive in, but before we go ahead and dive in, of course, like I always, note that, everyone who watches, whether they watch live or they watch later, sometimes you can't wait till the next day to kind of pause and reboot. And some of you, I know, are going through some challenging times. Well, in general, all of us are going through some challenges, but some are really going through some heavy duty challenges. So if that sounds like you or someone you know is really going through a rough time, please take the time you need to kind of pause, reboot, refresh, reimagine, all those types of things. If what you're dealing with requires professional attention and you've got access to it or can get help to getting access to a professional attention, please make sure to do so. If it just means you got to change up your routine or your circle or those types of things, please identify the positives that you need to do in order to get to a better and more constructive space and place. On the flip side, there's people who are going through some positive times, achievement on the job to just, whatever positive breakthroughs. So if that sounds like you or someone please celebrate, please embrace, please enjoy it and feed off of that, for the next hurdle or next life challenge. So I always try to do that, and I want to definitely make sure to remind all of us to be able to do so. And shouts to Emery Rose Photography, who we mentioned earlier. Make sure to check them out. They are our collaborative partner on the Lens and Pens podcast. Make sure to check out Emery Rose Photography. If you haven't done so already, do it. It'll be good for you. So in regards to being good to you and good for you, let me see. Let me see which one I want to make sure to use. So let's take a look. Okay, so we're going to go to the second book that I did, 9 Stories of Faith, Volume 1. I'm going to pull a familiar selection from Chapter 5, Floyd Mayweather versus Jerry Cooney. This is really talking about sometimes the challenges with mental health, stress, all that type of thing. So I'm going to read a quote from here, and let's go with it. Here it goes. Life is what it is. You can't always control what happens, but you can control your response. That is my goal each day, or at least try to do so. When it's all said and done, I'd be more than satisfied if people can say that I met that guy, meaning me. He was a decent guy, he concludes. And I've gone to this part of the chapter a couple of other times, but I really listen to what the part about you can't always control what happens, but you can control your response. That's huge because, all of us at varying degrees have been guilty of, they made me do it or made me do this. But yeah, you almost have to look at things at what they are. And like they say, anger is a step away from danger. And if we respond out of anger, sometimes it can really put kerosene on a fire. We want to take inventory of what's going on and have an even stronger response. Now, don't get me wrong, emotion is still going to be part of it. But if we balance that emotion with how do we solve this problem, how do we go beyond some of the mayhem that we might be personally experiencing or just seeing in general, that's something to think about. So even with this quote, with someone living with and living through a mental illness, just being cognizant of I can control my response. Sometimes you may need help with controlling your response, but you can still control your response and make it more effective. So, I mean, every once in a while, yeah, we got to hoot and holler, cuss and fuss and what have you every once in a while, but we've got to think of something stronger, something that's going to be a lot more lasting, something that can really help us pause and pivot and turn the corner or spin the block. So I like going to that quote from 9 Stories of Faith, Volume 1. It's the second book that I did. Make sure to either get it online or take a look at any of the bookstores where I'm in and get a copy from our independent bookstores. So a couple of real quick things, because I know it's getting late. And again, I appreciate everybody who's, been patient, as today was a little bit longer. So in regards to upcoming events, August 28th, join us at the Book House in Winston-Salem. That's going to be in Ronaldo Village. Between like 5:15 to 5:45 will be time for you to get there, park, meet and greet, get a beverage, just kick back and chill and start to unwind. Then from about 5:45 to about 6:30 is when we'll do the Q&A, the authors talk. They'll be hosted by Lavinia Jackson, who is a published author and acclaimed poet based out of the Greensboro, North Carolina area. So if you're Winston-Salem, Kernersville, Greensboro, High Point, West Forsyth, those areas, don't be a stranger. You need to go ahead and pull up. And then from 6:30 till about 7:15, we'll take care of the signing piece. I'll definitely have my talk focus on the book Nothing Minor, and if everything works out, there might be another component to talk about, so stay tuned on that end. But shouts to the Book House, shouts to Lavinia Jackson, and shouts to all the folks in the Triad. So that'll be August 28th, and then September 13th, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Greenville Tech. I'm a participating author for the Carolinas International Book Fair / Book Festival, so shouts to the amazing people there. Pull up, stop by my tent, meet, greet, talk. I'll feature all my books. The coffee, the AuthorASnorton blend, will have the coffee available and all that type of thing. So make sure to come and check it out. So if you're in the upstate, so that's Greenville. If you're in Spartanburg, you can roll up on a Saturday. If you're in Greer, you can roll up and what have you. Make sure to come on up and come on out. So any of that grid on the upstate. Heck, if you're in where are the outlets? Gaffney. You can make the road trip down from Gaffney to Greenville. It's not that far. So let's go ahead and make that stuff happen. So that'll be September the 13th. Other than that, some of the other moving parts, there's a few. We've got, some things in the works. There may be an interview or two that'll be on the horizon. There might be something else that's on the horizon. So you definitely want to stay tuned and stay connected, on the socials as well as the website. So as we get ready to wind down this late night edition, as you can tell, I'm a little bit tired. But shouts again to Emery Rose Photography, and shouts to everybody who likes, shares, reposts, all that and then some. It's really, really cool, and I appreciate all the support from every reader, bookstore, book club, book festival, all that. So hopefully the message from tonight from 9 Stories of Faith is something that resonates. So definitely play this back, run this back. This is going to be a little bit shorter than usual, but I appreciate everybody's patience. We'll be back at the regular time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for next Wednesday, which should be the 27th. So we'll definitely be up at the regular time, but definitely make sure, if you haven't, subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out the playlist of all the Fast 15s and things and any of the other stuff. Make sure to check out our folks at Lens Depends on your favorite social media platforms, as well as where you listen to your podcast. We'll have new stuff popping up. We've been working on our respective projects, but we'll have some new stuff popping up on the podcast. Just in general, just try to stay as even-keeled as possible despite the landscape and things of that nature. There's going to be some stressful times and stressful moments. There's going to be some challenging times and challenging moments. And while we can't fight every battle, there are some battles that we have to fight. So continue as best as possible to advocate for what is really good and what's really right. When you see something that's wrong, say something, do something constructive. And if you don't necessarily have to be out on the front lines, but be willing to support those who are, especially when what they're trying to do is make the biggest positive impact on as many people as possible. to help, just if anything, acknowledge people's humanity, for crying out loud, and make sure we're following the teachings versus a certain practice. So that is something that we'll get into. So again, check out Emery Rose Photography in the not too distant future. Check out the amazing work they're doing. Great to work with them, and just in the words of Tupac, keep your head up. So hopefully, even though it's a little bit shorter, you're still able to get something from what we pulled from 9 Stories of Faith. It's an opportunity to kind of pause, reboot, reset. And so until next time, as I like to say, even if I flip the order around, whether small or big, a victory is a victory. Whether slow or swift, movement is movement. Keep it victorious, keep it moving. All of you guys take very good care. I look forward to seeing you all real soon.